Here's how we built a 200k ARR web software development agency at 21 years old while still attending university. If you're planning on starting a business or scaling one, stick around. We'll go through exactly on how we went from zero to nearly €500,000 in total revenue over the last 3 years and everything we've learned along the way there. Hey there, my name is Veti. I'm an entrepreneur and a robotics student, and I've been an entrepreneur now for over 5 years, and for the last 3 years we've been helping Finnish startup companies build amazing quality software at my software agency, which we've now scaled to over 200k ARR over the last 3 years, almost €500,000 in total revenue, and today we're going to be going through exactly how we built that company from zero to that 200k. So yeah, let's get started with that. But before we go on to the actual video, I want to show you guys our real numbers that we've filed to the government over the last couple of years here, just because there's a lot of scammy YouTuber entrepreneurs out there who just want to shill you their courses, which I don't want to do. So here are the numbers and what we actually filed. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. How did we actually build our company and get to those numbers? We'll be going through obviously our story on how we built our software development agency, but even if you're pursuing, for example, a social media marketing agency or a lead generation agency or SEO agency or anything like this, I think the video's content is still highly relevant to you, because I think the same principles and advice applies to all of the agency type businesses. So yeah, let's get into it step by step on how we got started, how we built our sales pipeline, our surprise investment, how we built our team, and then how we scaled this whole thing up to 200k. One by one, let's go. So number one, how did we get started? 3 years ago, after we had turned the page on our high school mobile app adventures, me and my co-founding team, we wanted to continue entrepreneurship and actually get some money in the bank. So that's why we started the software development company. And basically we started with the core idea of building amazing quality software for startups and SaaS companies. That means basically building their web apps, mobile apps, websites, etc., and billing those on an hourly basis or a project basis. Number two, getting our first clients. We started by gathering as much portfolio material as we could. So we took our CVs, our old hobby projects, and our app experimentations, and we packaged that up into sales material. Then we started looking for clients through cold email, cold calling, as well as on LinkedIn. And we also started attending all of the startup events we could, which I've actually made a video about, which you can find here. So yeah, regarding the cold email and cold calling tools, we used services such as Vainu.io, Apollo.io, and ProFinder in order to gather lead lists, which we could then call through and email through. And for email sending, we used tools such as Instantly and Smartly to send emails. And then we later built a tool called Mailmoo, which enables you to put personalized videos to all of your cold emails automatically. Regarding all the sales channels I just mentioned, I'm actually going to be making a separate video on all of them. So make sure you like and subscribe and ding dong that notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video and you can check those out. Number three, our surprise investment and early struggles. Yeah, so 6 months into running our software development company, something interesting happened. We were trying to gain a finance reserve in order to hire our first employees, and we were at a startup event where we accidentally approached a couple of angel investors who later turned out to be interested in actually investing into our company. Now that's sort of unusual because we were an agency or a consulting company and not a startup per se, but they had confidence in us as a team to execute really well. They were interested, and we were actually managed to secure a small angel investment from them, which really helped us and turned the tide on our company, because we were able to get those cash reserves up immediately upon the investment, and we didn't need to wait like 6 months more to slowly gather up capital into our bank account as a reserve. We were able to hire our first employees really fast. We're actually going to go into next, which is the team building. So how you build your team and how we build our team in our company. Number four, building the team. We originally had just me and my co-founding team in the company. I used to do all the programming work and my co-founders used to focus on the sales. Then after our first couple of projects, we found freelancers from university to do the programming as well as some of the sales. Basically, the freelancers were really great in the beginning because we didn't have to hire anybody, which would bring a lot of fixed monthly costs because we didn't have that big of a cash reserve, and the projects were not that consistent. In the beginning, all of our projects were only 1 or 2 months or project based, so they didn't last for longer times. After a while, we were able to secure longer projects, for example 6 months or a year. Basically ended up us requiring to hire somebody full-time to do those things. So we were able to bit by bit build up the projects until we finally had the opportunity to take a 6-month project or a year's project into the company. And those longer term projects are definitely the key thing you want to aim for. They're really hard to get to in the beginning, but once you get going, they're absolutely the critical necessity that will keep your company growing, because they're so much easier to handle, and also they usually bring more money than the short-term projects. Number 5, how do we scale up? The scaling process sort of happens alongside everything you do. You always want to think about how you can improve your processes and what you do, and once you look back at the project you did, you get a lot of insights into how you can handle things even better than you did last time. So we constantly try to find ways to handle projects better, do better work for our clients. And for example, it goes all the way down to the smallest details on like how you communicate to the client, what type of messages or emails you send, what time you send them at. And then also in the project management side, the same thing applies, how we handle things, what's the process, and how we do everyday operations. After every project, we also tried our best to improve our rates. Don't forget to do that. It's important so that you grow as a company if you can increase the rates that you bill at. Also, we as the founders, we try to focus on growth as much as possible. So my co-founders try to not get bogged down by daily tasks like, paying taxes and whatnot. We try to always focus on growth and getting the next project. And while I was doing the projects, I tried to also always focus on like upselling to the existing clients and seeing if we could do any more work for them in the future. So how do we do? Basically, in first fiscal year, which was 9 months for us, we made 75k euros, and then in the second year we hit 161k euros, and then in the third year we finally hit that 200k mark just about, which was really cool. So yeah, that's how we scaled the company. It took us about 3 years to get to 200k. It started with the first one that was 9 months, the fiscal year, which was a lot of learning, and because it was our first sort of year of business, and there was a lot we learned then during that time. But I think sort of the processes and how we did things sort of were sorted out at the end of that 9 months. When the new first full year started, we sort of knew what we were going into after the holidays. We started off strong. And now finally, the lessons learned from this entire journey of 3 years of building a software development agency. Let's get started with the learnings. Agencies and consulting are a long-term game. There's no success overnight. You really have to work hard and do a pristine job on every single client case you get in order to build up a reputation of being a company that delivers good results for a good price in a trustworthy manner. Focus on each project you get, do a really good job, the best you can, and it's gonna get easier along the way when you build your reputation by showing off your capabilities in each project better and better over time. Recurring revenue is key. In consulting and agencies, it's vital to get good baseline recurring revenue every month. So that means getting retainer clients, long-term projects. I think this was something that we were struggling with a lot during the time we were growing the company. I guess the Finnish IT business was in a downturn and we couldn't secure these long-term 6-month or 1 year or multiple year projects. And it was really hard to, just scrape by with project-based 1 or 2 month gigs because we'd have to replace all of those every single month or every other month we got. Recurring revenue through retainers, long-term agreements, as well as maintenance agreements for web apps, mobile apps, and websites is definitely the key. Yeah, they're definitely the key. You need sustainable cash flow in order to grow more. Trust and honesty. Trust and honesty are the most important thing in business overall and in general, but it gets highlighted in consulting and agencies. The market is really crowded and your services cost usually a lot of money. So think about it this way from the client's perspective. Why would I spend money on your service or whatever you do if I don't know if I can trust you or if I don't know if you're gonna try to scam me or something like that. It really comes down to if they can trust to pay you money and if they trust that you get results delivered and everything else that comes with trust. Networking is a serious business. Networking is really important, especially when it comes down to agencies and consulting, as are the other learnings we had here, because through your network you can get sort of free client projects because people will refer you to their friends if you do a good job. There's a lot of cases where we've just done a good job and then a month later we get a random phone call from somewhere that is somebody who knew our client and heard that we did a really good job and that they want to buy a service from us. Same goes if you look at the client perspective. If you were to buy something or get something, you'd ask your friend, have you got something like this before? You know what's good, and then sort of the selling happens there based on your sort of work that you did before. It's really important to go to events, network with more entrepreneurs, and one bonus thing that comes with networking with entrepreneurs is that you get to hear their story, what they've done before, and if they've walked a similar path or done similar types of business, you can learn from their mistakes and sort of avoid the worst pitfalls that you may come across in your domain of business. Hiring and team building. We already discussed team building slightly before, but I think it's one of the really important learnings we had over the years is that you need to find the right people who are a good fit to your company, who are, you know, sharp and honest and want to do hard work. On top of that, it's really important to also weigh the decision between full-time hiring and freelancers or part-time hiring as well, because it's really important that you make sure that you can pay all of your bills, because if you hire somebody, you're gonna have fixed costs over a long time, and if your projects are not on like a long-term basis or a retainer basis, they might stop suddenly because you know maybe your client runs out of money, they don't want to pay for your service anymore. So you don't want to end up in a situation where you don't have work for your employees, especially if they're doing like the hands-on stuff, for example, programming, etc. Those are also really important things on top of like the sort of the general person fit, if they're, good at the job and like what type of person they are. Watching your finances and being careful with them. When you're running an agency or a software development company or whatnot, it's really important that you look after your finances, because once you start accruing fixed costs like salaries, etc., you really want to make sure that your sales pipeline is in good enough shape that it can handle it, even if things go really south with the best deal you're gonna make shortly. There's a lot of times where you think you're gonna get big deals or like big contracts, and then it just falls apart on the last moment. So you want to ensure that like you're not gonna break your entire bank on just one contract. You want to be careful with your money and make sure that you can cover all the costs even if things go south really badly. So yeah, I hope you found this video insightful. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down below. Also leave a like rating so I know how it went, and yeah, until next time.